Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday interview. This is probably the 15th or 16th year I've been interviewing top producers every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And Daniel, the challenge of the day and the goal with this Tuesday call is to put on the best sales meeting for the entire week in the mortgage industry. So challenge accepted?
Challenge accepted. Let's
go. So guys, I interviewed Daniel, I don't know, it's been maybe a couple months, and I've known of him for a long time. He's a mortgage coach, grandmaster. Him and his team have done thousands of mortgage coach TCAs. They also are data-driven. You know, their database is monitored by Trust Engine, and they're, doing their best to optimize that. And I wanted to do another call where we review some of the things that we learned about Daniel in that last call. He's a top producer, but I really want to drill down on you as a branch manager, Daniel. So first of all, let's assume some people haven't watched the last call. If you could just tell everybody a little bit about your mortgage practice, what market you're in, and then I've got some questions that I think will be helpful to our community.
Yes, great. So we run a culture of high performance, right? So currently we have 35 loan officers, and we're averaging 6 closings per originator. Last month we did 210 transactions with 35 loan officers. So that's exactly 6 closings per LO. Obviously, it didn't get here overnight, right? So this is the result of many years, of working very, very hard to build a platform upon which, people can perform at the highest level, right? If people have dreams, to become a 7-figure earner, then they can become a 7-figure earner. If they want to be in a place where, where they support their families and they're in a $250,000 or so range, the $500,000 range, they can certainly do that. But ultimately, our goal is to get everybody above whatever the average is. So if you're below average, then we are relentlessly working with you to be able to get you to perform above what the current average is, right? So I work with people that are usually, very motivated to do well. I don't necessarily work with individuals that just want to coast and do their, their 1 to 3 loans a month. That's not necessarily a good fit for us. I am somebody who is very, very focused on high execution. I want to have big results, and I'm all in all the time. And so I like to work with people that have a similar mentality, that are all in, that they want to win, and ultimately, we can win together. So there's a lot that goes along with the overall practice. We the coaching aspect of it is really big, right? So we run a very vigorous internal coaching platform where we're doing upwards of 9 hours in coaching per month, Dave, in this market. I mean, it wasn't always like this, but this market requires that sort of intensity in terms of coaching. But again, that's just a quick description of what we're doing here. We're running a big branch, high performance, lots of coaching, significant attention to the details in terms of best practices. And we can unpack a lot of these best practices and go through one by one, but there's a lot that it takes right now to win. And maybe we can start a little bit about talking about that, right? And then I'll turn this over to you, Dave. But go ahead.
Before we go there, I just want to call out, Daniel and what he's accomplished with the 35 loan officers. Not only are they like more than double, like most branches, their loan officers are averaging less than 2 loans per loan officer per month. If you are a branch manager on this call and you know your numbers and you want to share them, what are they? And by the way, I would love to find some mortgage coach branch managers that are beating Daniel and like 8 loans per month per loan officer. So, awesome. and by the way, at scale, like, hey, if there's 3 loan officers and they're averaging X, that's one thing. I think it needs to be north of 10 loan officers to really compare to what Daniel has achieved with his 35. Like if you've got 10 or more loan officers and you're closing more than 6 per loan officer, let's talk about that. I also want to call out, market share gain. It came out in the last call that they're the number one leader in the market they serve, Columbus, Ohio region. Rocket has less market share. And then who are the big banks that have typically been the market share leaders?
Yeah, so for the first time ever, right, and I think a lot of it has to do with the downturn and the fact that it's a lot harder, to do deals right now and for loan officers to win than ever before, right? And I think that when things are really hard, the little details and everything that we work so hard to be able to perform at a high level really counts, right? So we have 9% market share in the total Central Ohio market. That's board of realtors, total closings based upon what we've done compared to what it's been done so far. Huntington has always been the number one, right? And in fact, beating Huntington is something that, probably most people would never even imagine in this market just because they've had such a strong hold on the market share. So we've passed Huntington. Union Savings Bank has always had a large market share, so we've passed them as well. Chase, we've passed them. Rocket, we've passed them. And there's a lot of other local competitors that do really well, but right now we're outperforming. And I thought a lot of that has to do with just the intensity of coaching, the intensity of the attention that we pay to little details, and because right now that's what's winning.
Okay, cool. And then one more thing I want to say before we get into you unpacking tactics and strategies. Takeaway number one is just mindset and standards. So I hope, anyone listening to this, you really connected that, the people that he's recruiting, the people that are staying on the team there are all in all the time. That was the quote you said. And so there's a mindset and a standard. I also wanted to call out, we'll probably repeat some of these, but Daniel and I transcribed the last interview that we did, and we wrote an article that is on my LinkedIn. It's a LinkedIn article. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link down in the description. But I really recommend, I wrote this, Daniel and I wrote this as a tool for branch managers, producing branch managers. So if you're a loan officer, there's value in this. If you're a branch manager, like, guys, this is pure gold. Like we transcribed and wrote something that is, I feel very useful. So check that out. Think of that as just a teaching playbook to help you guys compete and kick ass as branch managers. So by the way, before we get too far into this, didn't want to say hi to Alex Thompson, one of your teammates. What's up, Alex?
Hi, Dave. How we doing?
Good, man. It's good to have you. And I'm sure Daniel will bring you onto the field when the time is right.
Very well. Thank you.
Or onto the court. Onto the court. He's a tennis player.
I'll take that.
Alex is my right hand man, and he's with me and everywhere I go. So
let him know when you want to start playing doubles. Instead of singles.
I can't play tennis, but mortgages, I'll be fine staying there. So
all right. Well, we'll bring you on at some point here. So Daniel, I stopped you. Go ahead and share the strategies. Remember, audience, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if he says something you dig, give us a like or give us an emotion here in Zoom. So Daniel, what do you got?
Okay, so I think that you mentioned something important. I want to address that. The mindset is really, really critical, because a lot of people in this current market right now, they just accepted that it's hard, and they're just waiting for things to turn, right? And the reality is, it's not really that hard, right? Because there's plenty of deals to be done, right? And you just have to get a bigger piece of a smaller pie. And what you need to realize, especially again, you have to have confidence to be able to do this, but you have to realize that you are probably better than most of your competitors. You have to believe in that. And if you don't believe in that, then you are, thinking about all the reasons why you're not performing, right? Rates are too high, inventory is low, or, people, buyers aren't motivated enough, and so on and so forth. So what we've done, Dave, I think we'll start with this, is when you coach people at the level that we're coaching right now on all the different best practices, like, for example, how to gain realtor accounts, how to perform at a realtor meeting, how to follow up after the meeting, how to structure communications so your realtors are really happy about what you're doing for them, how to perform at the client meeting, most important part of the process, right? The loan consultation, both at pre-approval and then in contract. Different ways to generate leads outside of realtor referred leads, right? How do you work your database to maximize that? And then, ultimately also how to structure your week to be able to maximize your results. So if you're coaching your loan officers on these skill sets that I just mentioned right now, ultimately what you do is you develop confidence, and confidence is self-esteem, right? And if I think that people, in order for them to be able to reach the type of numbers that we have right now, they have to believe that they're better than everybody else. They have to believe that they can perform and they can earn a bigger piece of a smaller pie. They have to believe that they can perform well for their realtors when other loan officers are not going to perform at the level that they perform, right? So once you train loan officers on all these different skill sets vigorously, then loan officers can then build the confidence that is required to be able to win in this market. Without that sort of coaching intensity, it's just really hard to win, because that's what's happening, right? It's hard. But if you are equipping loan officers with all these little details that I just mentioned, then it makes it easier. They gain confidence, and all of a sudden they're like, holy crap, I'm doing this. And then you're like, yes, you are. You're muted, Dave.
Yep, thank you. I think what you said is so powerful, and I want to get some alignment with the whole audience. So I mean, this is an incredible book, and it's never been more important. Forget about the name of the book, that you're fanatically prospecting. So like Daniel said that, but he also said something that I think is super important, that if you don't feel like what you're bringing to realtors into the market is different and better than other loan officers, you're not going to feel pumped. You're not going to, you can only fake it until you make it so long. And this is a market where skills matter. I talk all the time, and I'm going to be doing a keynote in a couple hours at a big sales rally, called the Advice Revolution, that it's changed. Like, rates are always going to suck going forward because they went down to 2% and 3%. So people know that. And by the way, 63% of Americans who have a home have a 2 or 3% mortgage. So like going forward, the industry, whatever interest rate you're selling, whatever loan you're selling, it sucks compared to, the mindset of folks. So what are you going to do? You need to be an advisor. You need to lean into this. I'm going to show a slide that I'm going to actually open my keynote with later today. This is data that was organized by Todd Bellinger, Borrow Smart University. The actual data comes from every quarter. The Federal Reserve does a notice called the Z1. And so this is right from the Federal Reserve. And guys, this is America's balance sheet. And almost every quarter for my 38 career and 38 years in mortgage, credit has gotten bigger. Mortgage debt has gotten bigger. Housing has not only gotten bigger, like in an insane way, it's gotten bigger compared to the equity markets. So like guys, there's $28 trillion in equity in America. This is America's balance sheet. And I show this right now to make the point, like the industry that we all work for, like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And for 90% of Americans, they can't afford a financial planner. They don't have CPAs. Mid-America and probably 95% of Americans don't have advisors. But you know what? They have mortgage advisors. Like if you could go from I'm a loan officer to a mortgage advisor and not only look at America's balance sheet the way I do and the way Daniel does, but look at the balance sheet of your consumer like this, like, hey, what's their debt? What's their equity? How much equity? What are their goals? When do they want to achieve financial freedom? And if you have the vision that I have and the vision that Daniel has, and then you do the work and you train your team, guys, this decade is going to be amazing. Daniel, any comments on that slide or any thoughts before we move forward here?
just eye-opening, right? I mean, that just goes to show, the important role that we play in all of this, right? And this isn't going away, right? And so the key is you have to adapt and adjust. You have to constantly work on your skill set, right? And you've got to bring value. You got to bring value to your clients, and you got to bring value to your referral partners. And as long as you do that, you're always going to win.
Agreed. By the way, John called out, I don't know what racquetball book you see. I don't know that I have a book called racquetball, but the short answer is I play racquetball, and I'm not in great shape, but I'm competitive at whatever I do. So yes, but now it's more like pickleball, bro. So if you want to play some pickleball, let me know. All right. So let's do this. Kind of, we went through the first quarter. We've identified, what you're doing. Let's speak to producing branch managers, because by the way, are you still on pace to do 370 million ish this year? Like, what do you think you're going to end the year at?
Total branch volume.
Loans, 370 loans.
Yeah. So individual production, it will be between 375 to 385, somewhere in that range. We're actually having really incredible November, and set to have a really great December as well, due to some new builder relationships that we've added. But no, yeah. And then as a branch, we'll do 2,500 closings roughly, and upwards 610 million in volume. So yeah.
Boom. By the way, John just corrected it. It wasn't racquetball, it was Moneyball. And yeah, I'm playing Moneyball every day, and I've been doing a lot of interviews called Moneyball Mortgage. Make sure you guys check that out. And it's even a good time during these holidays. Go back and watch the original movie with Brad Pitt called Moneyball. It's one, a good movie, and two, it's very on point for the mortgage industry right now. Like, if we want to, like, Daniel is playing Moneyball Mortgage. He knows his numbers. He's measuring his conversion. His price concessions relative to his company are the best. So not only is he one of the highest producing, lowest, and by the way, not just him, his branch, lowest concessions, highest conversion, he's playing Moneyball Mortgage. So good call
Certainly.
out.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so what do you want to tackle first? Like, what kind of skill do you want to go through? And remember, we're doing a branch managers meeting. We're talking to branch managers, and we're giving them leadership. So where would you start?
I think if you're a branch manager, you've got to, first step is put together a list of things that like the skill sets that we talked about, right? The article that Dave and I posted on LinkedIn related to all of the best practices that loan officers need to be good at in order to be able to win. And I'll just point those out again. That was actually, I want to show this on the screen, put this up here for everyone to see, because this is a good guide, and just being able to show some of these resources that Dave is putting out through the Trust Engine is just unbelievable, to be able to support branch managers. And then obviously these weekly meetings are incredible, but this is a great tool right here for branch managers if they want to use. If you just read this article, it'll pretty much go through a lot of the things that you need to be doing in order to set up your loan officers to win. But these are the skill sets at the bottom. If you go all the way down to the bottom, it'll list the skill sets, right? And we talked about that right at the beginning of the call: how to gain new realtor relationships, how to execute realtor meetings, how to follow up after the meeting, how to execute on the communication policies, how to execute at loan consultations, both at pre-approval and in contract, so on and so forth. So going through these, the first thing that you want to do as a branch manager is just make sure that you are training your people on these skill sets, right? And so how we do this is we have 2 meetings per week. One, we do a best practices reinforcement, which is going over those 8 skill sets, right? And then the other is what it takes to win right now, right? So if you're a branch manager, you should be having a weekly meeting with all of the loan originators and just talking about what it took to get every contract that came through the door the prior week, right? So for us, last week, we got upwards 65 contracts total, right? And so on our Monday call yesterday, we went through, and I can see the contracts coming in, so I'm able to talk specifically to the loan officers that have the highest number of contracts coming in. And so we talk about specific tactics that led for the contracts to be accepted, right? So was there a call made to the listing agent? What was the conversation like? What are we seeing seller concessions? What kind of loans are people doing right now? And how you're setting buyers up to be able to make strong offers, right? And so having those kinds of discussions on a weekly basis with your LOs, just understanding what it took to win in the prior week. And then by doing so, what you're also doing is you're creating the talking points to take to your realtor partners every week. So on these sales meetings, we discuss whatever it takes to win right now, right? And again, I am talking. We have other guys that are doing significant production. They're all talking, right? And then everyone is paying attention. The people that are doing, 3-4 loans a month, they're listening to the people that are doing 20 plus loans a month, right? And so ultimately, that's helping people get an understanding and gain confidence on what they have to do to win. Secondly, on that meeting, I'm providing loan officers with the talking point to take out to the market with, right? So think about your loan officers, and you're telling loan officers to make calls every week, call realtors and talk to them about whatever, right? And they're having to come up with the talking points, right? And so what we do every week is I provide the exact talking points for them to have and bring out to the market with. One of the great things about that is it creates consistency on our messaging as well as a company, right? Because all of our 35 LOs are going out and telling realtors the exact same tactics, right? And that just creates a lot of uniformity, a lot of consistency, which obviously helps with our branding as well. But again, providing those talking points is important, right? And then beyond that, and we do again, so it's the one sales meeting a week to talk about what it takes to win, and then another sales meeting, which is a comprehensive reinforcement of best practices. So those are, I think, the first two things that people just, if you're a branch manager, get rolling with something like that right away. And then we can go ahead.
So 2 sales meetings, one which is sharing.
One is a sales meeting, and the other one is a training.
Okay. So one sales meeting where people are telling stories, sharing strategies of how they're winning. I wrote down, he said, how are they setting up buyers to make confident offers? And here's the deal, guys. Confident buyers make confident offers. So if you guys are not doing that at scale, you have to in this market if you want to gain market share. And then the other one is training on specific best practices.
It's a comprehensive reinforcement of best practices every week. This is a call that is optional, but highly encouraged if you are doing 5 or less loans per month. If you're doing more than 5 loans a month, then, you don't need to attend these meetings because you're at or above our average, right? But if you're at 5 or below, then it is highly encouraged, right? And it's essentially mandatory, right? And then we're just vigorously talking about, okay, what are you doing right now on gaining new realtor accounts? And Dave, what you'd be surprised is that, like, if I train somebody on a specific skill 3 months ago, and I asked that person about how that skill is going right now, they don't even remember it because they're not practicing it enough. So the weekly reinforcement is critical until it becomes a habit. Once it becomes a habit, it builds the accountability around them, right? And then they do it without having to think about it. But another thing that branch managers should be doing in this market is role playing. Like role playing the realtor meeting and role playing the client meeting with their loan officers. You will be blown away with how much you will learn about the loan officer's ability to perform when you role play with them. And then immediately you can teach them the specific things where they're missing the mark at. Like literally yesterday on my, and on these reinforcement coaching calls, Dave, I'm actually running those calls for my team. And yesterday I role played the first 3 segments of the realtor meeting. And I can role play that with you right now if you want, just so that the audience can see it. And I was so surprised, even having given my loan officers the script for that meeting, how they're not 100%, executing on that meeting. So I think that we're seeing a lot of thumbs up on this, and I think a lot of people want to hear the role play on the Realtor meeting. We can do it.
Here's what I want to do. We're going to do that role playing, although you're going to do it with Alex, just because Alex is on your team, and I think you and him can do it better. People are giving big thumbs up on that. Let's dedicate no more than 10 minutes to that. How long are these meetings, by the way? An hour-ish?
This meeting can, I have it down to a science where it can be executed in 15 minutes, but typically it's a 20 to 40-minute meeting if there is time available, right? What you don't want, a lot of the big mistake that people make as a loan officer is that they talk themselves out of doing business with a realtor. So how do you do that? Is you go to a meeting and you keep the realtor there for an hour to 2 hours, and realtors just can't wait to get out of that meeting. Right. And so if you have a good agenda for that meeting, and you're respectful, right, in terms of, hey, let's keep this meeting to 20 minutes or less. And then if you want to talk about the weather and vacations and whatever else, then you can, right? But you've got to get the business out of the way quick.
So 15 to 20-minute meetings is a Daniel Saw best practice, both in training and with realtors. So make note of that, guys. Like, what he's doing is working at scale, and I couldn't agree more. I think meetings could go too long. What about your monthly sales meeting? Does that also less than 30 minutes?
I do a quarterly download meeting. So as far as meetings, let's talk really quickly about meetings, and then we'll role play. So I do a sales rally once a week, which is What It Takes to Win. That's the title, right? What It Takes to Win right now. Right. And then we do an extreme comprehensive of reinforcement of best practices. That happens weekly as well. And then I do a once per month over the top vision and business building, high level coaching with all of the LOs. And that's separated on groups. You've got your top group, your middle group, and your bottom group. So I separate them based upon their numbers. Right. And that's what we do. And then once a quarter, we do what I call a quarterly download meeting, where we talk about the vision for the company, how we've done on the prior quarter, what our goals are going into the following quarter, what are some of the measurables, that we're looking at in terms of operationally, marketing, sales, right? Essentially every little detail that we're measuring. I share that on those meetings on a quarterly basis. But now we can pivot to this.
Yeah, we will pivot. One more thing. I'm gonna update that article on LinkedIn, and we will have, I don't know where I'll put it in the meeting, but we will update that document and incorporate everything that Daniel's sharing. Also, for all you branch managers, I mean, not only do we have, this incredible, really it's a playbook at this point. But I want to remind you that we have our 10X webpage. So Trust Engine /10X. Has not only the full interview with Daniel, it has a lot of other great content. Here's Daniel's, and a lot of training for MortgageCoach. So it's got online training, and you can sign up for line training. So everything you need as just a branch manager's toolkit, I'd say between these two things, you can do pretty good. So yeah, let's rock out a role play. I'll let you take it.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to do here is role play the realtor meeting. Before I role play the realtor meeting, I'm just going to tell you the steps to a successful meeting, and then we will role play some of the steps that I believe are, maybe we'll role play the whole thing if there's time, but I will just tell you the steps for the meeting, right? So there's 7 steps to my realtor meeting, and this is as proven and as battle tested as it can possibly be. I mean, I've held this meeting hundreds, if not thousands of times. And I've obviously coached all of my loan officers in executing at this meeting as well. So there's 7 steps. The steps are the following. Step 1 is honor. Step 2 is establish control. Step 3 is build rapport. Step 4 is needs analysis. Step 5 is reiterating their needs. Step 6 is providing the solutions. And step 7 is to close, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to do this in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or less, maybe 5 minutes. And I will just run through it as quickly as I can possibly run through, right? And then I will take some questions if we have to, or we can read and we can elaborate further, right? So it starts out with honoring, right? And as I go through the script, I will pause, right, to explain parts of it, and then we will keep going, right? So, all right. So it starts out like this. Okay. Hey, Alex, this is Daniel. Hey, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time, to meeting me today. I've known of you for quite some time, and I'm just very grateful for the time that we get to spend together today. Just know that I'm really excited to having a conversation today. So thanks for your time.
Yes. Nice to meet you, Daniel.
Awesome. Well, so now I did the honor, right? So I'm going to transition now to establishing control of this meeting. To establish control, simply what you have to do is create an outline for what will be discussed so that the realtor doesn't take control themselves, right? So here you go. Well, Alex, the reason I wanted to meet with you is to identify if there's a fit for us to work together. I want to learn a little bit about you on a personal level, but also what is important to you from a business standpoint. Then I'm going to walk you through how we perform on all of these things you mentioned are important to you from a business standpoint, and go over some additional things we do to help realtors grow their business. And if everything looks good, then potentially we could do some business together in the future. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Great. So I'm going to pause here. What I've just done right now is I have established control of the meeting, right? If I don't do this, then what happens is the realtor will take control, and the realtor will be like, whoa, so tell me, Daniel, what kind of products do you have? What are rates like right now? What are your closing costs? Do you guys do construction loans? All the things that are unnecessary to be talked about in this meeting, right? So if that's happening on your meetings, then it means that you're not establishing control, right? So now I'm going to transition back over. Somebody put it. So then I transition to Ford, right? So Ford is family, occupation, recreation, dreams, right? So the step number 3 is to just build quick rapport. If I have time, now if I'm pressed for time, if I'm trying to do this in 15 or 20 minutes or less, then I skip Ford altogether. If I have 20 to 40 minutes, then I will do Ford, and it's like a 5-minute portion. I'm not going to do it right now for the respect time, but what I do is I just ask one question per letter. So one question about their family, one question about their occupation, one question about recreation, one question about dreams. And then boom, right after that, then I will transition to the needs analysis. And I'm going to shorten the needs analysis in respect of time here, but the most important thing you must ask is this. So Alex, so again, I'm in transition now. Hey, thanks for sharing about your family and your dreams, all this stuff, but let's talk a little bit more about business now. So Alex, your clients, I'm sure, are extremely important to you, correct?
Yes. The most important to me.
Great. Well, Alex, given how important your clients are to you, what are the top 3 things you're looking for in a lending partner relationship?
Honestly, the first thing is communication. I want to make sure that you're communicating with the client and that I'm kept up to date through that process.
Okay, great. What is the second thing?
Second thing is I want to make sure that they're taken care of. I want to make sure that they, they're getting the best product, they're getting the best terms, and that they feel safe and secure through the process.
Awesome, right? So I'm going to pause here, right? So like when you're asking, and I'm going to give you guys, this is the most important thing, and I need you guys to pay attention to this. This is literally the most important thing. So what happens is this: most loan officers are not prepared to properly ask needs analysis questions. And let's say if they do, and they ask things like, okay, what are you looking for in a loan officer, right? Without properly prefacing that question, what do realtors will normally default to? They will default to, well, if you can help me with Zillow co-brand, or if you can help me with Realtor.com, or the mailers that I do, right? That's what they're looking for, right? And so if you don't properly ask the question, and I'm going to give you the nugget here, right? How you prevent going down the rabbit hole of co-branding. And again, there's a time and place to have a conversation about that if you want to co-market with an agent, right? But what you don't want is for that to be the whole point of the meeting that you're having, right? So how I avoided that, and I want to make sure you guys are getting the nugget here, how I avoided going down that rabbit hole is I planted the seed of their clients in their head. So I asked Alex, right? Your clients are really important to you, Alex, correct? So what I just did is I planted the client, and I made Alex think about their clients. And then Alex said, yes, my clients are important. And then the second thing that I did, then I reiterated that. Then I said, given how important your clients are to you, again, replanted that seed, given how important your clients are to you, what are the top 3 things you look for in a lending partner relationship? So if the realtor is thinking about their clients, they're not going to be like, Zillow co-brand. That's just not going to come. It's impossible that they're going to answer that way. No matter what, they're going to talk about communication. They're going to talk about accuracy, availability, nights and weekends, response time, speed, closing on time. Those are the things that they're going to think about based upon how I planted the seed of how important their clients are. And I forced them to think about their clients while they answered that question. And now it sets up for a great discussion surrounding communication, surrounding speed, surrounding best practices. And as a result, that will play into the loan officer's strength, right? And again, if there's a need to have a conversation related to co-branding down the road, that's not going to be what's going to drive the discussion on that moment in time, right? So now I've done that, right? And I've gotten the 3 things that they need. Now I'm going to go and again, a really important best practice on this meeting is, as they're telling you communication and accuracy or on-time closings, it's important that you're taking notes, right? Because if you're not taking notes, then it's ultimately almost disrespectful to them, right? And so make sure that you're actively listening. And what that means is that you're asking clarifying questions and you're taking notes as they're going through the top 3 things that they're looking for, because they're explaining to you what it means to take great care of their clients, right? And so then after you have done this, then you're going to go into the providing of the solution, which is step 6, right? And in that time, here's what I will say before we role play that piece, okay? Is that my belief is this: if you're not showing things in writing, then you could be perceived as lying, right? And so realtors are used to loan officers saying all kinds of stuff to them, and nothing really comes to fruition, right? And so it's really important that you have curated presentations, right? Like I said, when we do a client consultation, we're using MortgageCoach, and we're using visual aids to be able to show the buyer what we can do and educate them, right? So you have to do the same thing with a realtor. You have to have great visual aids, curated presentations surrounding all these different things that ultimately will lead them to success, right? And so then as you have, so let's say now I'm going to role play again. All right, Alex, well, thanks for sharing, the things that are important to you. And you mentioned communication is really important to you. That being said, Alex, this is my process on how we deal with communication. So I can show it here. These are my 7 steps to take care of communication. We acknowledge received. We do call attempts from 1 to 7. We update you at every contact attempt. We provide you with a pre-approval letter with very specific pre-approval highlights. And then we're part of the offer process as well. And we update the client on a weekly basis, right? So like very quickly go through, and I'm showing this in writing to the realtor. And then I asked, this is the most important thing. And then I asked them, based upon what I just showed you on my communication policy, Alex, does that satisfy your needs for excellent communication?
Yes, perfectly.
Great. So I'm going to pause here. So what I did is I showed my communication, and then I closed on it to confirm that what I showed to them satisfied their needs. Again, we're talking about the top 3 things they're looking for in a lending partner relationship. And then I repeat the process on the next 2, right? So then I'll show them my accuracy process, right? So based upon I showed you how I pre-approve clients, does that satisfy your needs for great pre-approval process? Yes. Based on how I showed you on how I educate clients, does that satisfy your needs for how we educate clients? Yes. And then it leads to the closing statement, right? And so my closing line, my go-to closing line is the following. And so I'll say, well, Alex, I really appreciate that you've taken the time to meet with me today. I'm 100% confident that I am going to be able to satisfy your needs for great communication, on-time closing, accuracy, educating the clients, and all of those things you mentioned are important to you. That being said, can I have a commitment from you to send me your next 2 to 3 clients so I can show you exactly how we can do for you?
Yes, you have my commitment.
And the answer is almost always yes, right? And then from there, then I reclose, right, by doing an assumptive close. And I will say, awesome, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to working with you. The next steps are, and then I'll say, I'll send you a quick text message so we can start a text thread. I'll send you an email with my team's contact information. What is your home mailing address? So I can send you a package in the mail. And I will follow up with weekly to make sure we're taking great care of you. And by the way, can you think of anyone right now that I should be calling and following up with to make sure that they're set up for success, right? So I'm asking for a lead right then and there. And I would say, at least 50% of the time, I'm able to walk out of that meeting with a referral from the agent immediately, right then and there. That's the overall as fast as it can possibly be done, the role play of the entire Realtor meeting.
So you just crushed that in less than 15 minutes. And while I am going to update the article that we wrote, let me know with a reaction if you would like it, if Daniel and I also created a role-playing, like branch manager role-playing playbook for the 7 steps with every Realtor meeting. Would you guys like it if we wrote that up? So cool. I'll get to work on that. Innovation team, a lot of yes, please. Hell yeah. We're on it. So Daniel, before we run out of time, oh, by the way, there were a couple questions in here on, are you doing these in person? Are you doing these on Zoom?
Great question.
Any feedback on Zoom versus in person?
Yes. Great question on that. Listen, that is a meeting that is ideally done in person or via Zoom. Regardless, okay, if you do it in person, then you need to make sure that you present curated collateral pieces that address, the things that are common that realtors will likely talk about, right? And that way you can show it, or you can bring your laptop or your iPad, and so you can show visual aids. I'm a huge believer in showing really good professional presentations and visual aids, or you can do it via Zoom. Both are very effective.
Yeah, I highly recommend, guys. And even your mobile phone. A total cost analysis looks great on an iPad, looks great on a laptop, looks great on an iPhone. And I always say, like, tell stories and call out strategies. So yeah, first time home buyer was on the fence. You ever have any first time home buyers that, don't make winning offers? They don't make confident offers, and they're on the fence, or they, drive you crazy looking at houses and not making serious confident offers on houses. Oh, and then, call out a problem, tell a story, show how you solve that problem uniquely. And if you're in person, use an iPad, laptop, or phone. And if you're on Zoom, just show it on Zoom. All right. I want to, you just do a great job of your region, your branch calls your alerts from Trust Engine more than most branches. Your branch uses MortgageCoach more consistently and most effectively. So
100% of the time we do.
Yeah. Well, how do you train your loan officers to do that? How do you get such great adoption of both Trust Engine alerts and, MortgageCoach TCAs? Walk us through how that happens and any training you want to do. And if you want to show a TCA with Alex, feel free. We're in the fourth quarter.
As branch managers, our job is to remove obstacles for people to succeed, right? Our job as branch managers is to do whatever it takes to help loan officers win, right? To do whatever it takes to help loan officers make the most money that they can possibly make, right? And so I know for a fact that if they're really good at those 8 skill sets and they can perform at a high level at the realtor meeting and perform at a high level at the loan consultation, that I can set them up to win. So one of the things that we do to begin with, Dave, is we actually, as a branch, cover the cost of MortgageCoach for loan officers. Because what we don't want is for the cost to be in a way between the loan officer doing a professional presentation and not. We don't want that to be even a discussion. Right. And because we are covering the cost, then we're making it essentially a mandatory tool to be utilized. Right. And we make that MortgageCoach training part of our onboarding right out the gate. Right. So when people join NFM, they're literally training on MortgageCoach for the first week. Even if they are a prior MortgageCoach users, we're training on how we use MortgageCoach, on how we set up options on MortgageCoach, on how we present MortgageCoach to the clients. Right. And we start that at the onboarding piece, literally within the first week of employment. And so it starts with that. And we have a mandatory, I think it's like 4 to 5 mortgage coach trainings that we do in the first 3 weeks of being at NFM. And then we obviously encourage all of the tools within Mortgage Coach and Trust Engine websites where people can go in and see how others are utilizing Mortgage Coach and how they can further optimize their presentations, right? And people do get a lot out of all of the resources that are on the Mortgage Coach website, on the YouTube channel. That's been very, very helpful, and we're adopting a lot of those videos as part of our trainings. But we do 5 very intensive trainings initially, and Alex actually takes care of maybe 2 or 3 of those trainings. So I'll transition this to Alex now, and you can kind of walk us through, Alex, how we kind of get people off the ground with Mortgage Coach. What are some of the things that are basic, that we get people started on, and then how we transition into the more advanced aspect of training people to provide, really good education to clients at the loan consultation.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, so the first part, I would say definitely with the first training, we're kind of almost treating them as they are the client. Obviously, they already have certain knowledge, mortgage knowledge, but it's kind of treating them like the client, showing them really what the potential is and what the client's seeing. And I think that's the buy-in right there, right? Because it makes it so simple for them they always hear of Mortgage Coach. If they've had it before, they've used it, no one's explained it to them, actually even how to present it. So I'm almost going over it just like they were a client, which has been really helpful for the buy-in aspect. And then I'll kind of do on the first, training, what I'll do is kind of show them how I set it up initially for some of the basic level ones, some of the easy ones, and just to also show them the simplicity that, if I had a pre-approval meeting coming up, I probably could build it out in 5 to 10 minutes, for 3 to 4 options. And I think that also then increases the buy-in power, because I think that, a lot of times there's this misconception that A, they don't know how to explain it, and B, they think it's too much that they have to do. So that's the first way we kind of get them bought in. Then through the second and third meetings, what we're typically doing is I'll assign them homework, and I'll say, these are your 3 options I want you to prepare. These are your scenarios, build them out for me, right? And then I'll have them present them to me on the second and the third meeting. As I am the client now, we've done a role reversal, and they are the loan officer. And I will kind of educate them a little bit on, okay, some of the things maybe that they did well, some of the things that they did incorrectly, so that they, it's kind of the role playing we talked about. And then I'll also show them some of the things they did incorrectly in the build out, right? What they did behind the scenes with the TCA and everything. And so that's really kind of a quick step of how we get everyone bought in. Doing the same thing over and over again they'll do about 6 to 9 total build outs before we start going into the more deeper levels.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
First of all, that was a great breakdown. So much power in that framework. Daniel, would you be cool if I scheduled a training with Alex, and we actually did like we did two calls with Alex. We did one where, hey, here's the introductory training, and then 2, we had a couple loan officers that we did a follow-up with. He gives them an assignment, and we just randomly pick them, and we do 2 trainings sometime in the next month or 2. Do you mind if we do that, Daniel?
I would absolutely. I would love that. 100%.
Great.
For sure.
You game, Alex? You cool?
I'm game. I love it. I think it'd be great.
So if you want to be the student, let us know now, or we'll recruit someone during that training. I'll figure out when we can get this in the schedule, and I'll promote it, where we do a Daniel Saw team training with Alex Thompson. I can't wait, brother. So we got 8 minutes left. I know you got a couple TCAs because you forwarded them beforehand, but Daniel, if there was, of the 3 TCAs that you forwarded, if there was one that you think is more realtor centric, like you were going to talk about it in a realtor meeting, what would be of the TCAs that you guys have prepared, what would be the one that would have the most value to an agent?
You brought up a really strong point there, right? Because Dave, when you're asking realtors, what are the top 3 things you look for in a lending partner relationship? Again, planting the seed of how important their clients are to them, and then asking that question. In many cases, okay, almost, I would say 50% of the time, educating the client is one of the top 3 things that they look for, right? And so I bring curated mortgage coach example of presentations. I'm showing visual aids of the mortgage coach. So yes, this is so critical that people have these things already created, right? So that they can show the realtor. And then what you're doing at that moment is kind of like what Alex mentioned, right? You're presenting to the realtor in 3 minutes, how the client would be presented to. And so, yes, Alex, if you have one of the presentations that we have, if that would be something more relevant to show, right? As any, just pick whatever one you want, and let's make an
the most
example of that
valuable
one.
one is, I'm going to share my screen on this real quick. So the most valuable one that I would say if you're going to show a realtor is why buy now. So now versus wait. So this is a great example right now. You have a client looking at, wanting to buy right around that $400,000 purchase price range, and putting 10% down, right? So what we're kind of showing them is what their payment would look like now, what it would look like when rates come down. So that's what the second scenario is here. So that payment now, yeah, it's about $3,270, taxes, insurance, and everything. When the rates come down, it's going to go down to, into the 2,600. Well, a lot of clients that will say, well, we want to wait until rates come down. And then what we educate them on and kind of explain to them is, well, if you wait, what a lot of the experts are predicting is you're going to have a lot more buyers entering the market. So you're going to have more competition. So that same home that you're trying to buy now for $400,000 is going to be on average 10% more. So we're showing them what that would look like. Same exact rate if they did the refi and if they wait. But if you can see, they're paying an extra $200 a month, and they're paying $40,000 more just for the home if they wait. So this is a good one that we like to show realtors when we meet, because we're educating, like most people, like, I just want to wait on the rate. And they don't understand that what happens when waiting on the rate is you're now giving that opportunity for that home value to go up. Whereas instead, you can gain 40 grand in equity.
I want to emphasize a quick point here. When we're meeting with realtors and we're showcasing these kinds of tools to realtors, essentially what the realtor, in the back of the realtor's mind, they're like, wow, my clients could really benefit if Alex were to go through what they just went through with me, with my clients, right? So as you go through these realtor meetings, you want to showcase and even sometimes role play and show examples of TCAs, because then you can ask the realtor in the end, when you're asking for a lead, this is something that we do all the time, is we say, hey, like what I showed you, how we educate clients. Can you think of any clients that you have right now that maybe are pre-approved with a different bank that could use that kind of education, and maybe that is going to help get them off the ground? And then boom, there's a lead right there. Okay, keep going, Alex.
No, you pretty much hit the rest of what I was going to say, and then talking about, again, the big important thing that you mentioned was, can you think of any clients that this would be helpful with, right? And I think that that's really important anytime you're talking to a realtor, when you're showing them stuff, whether it be TCA items, whether it's talking about certain things that you do communication-wise. Can you think of anyone that this would be helpful with? And then especially something like this, every client this should be helpful with, especially the ones that, how many times right now in this market are those realtors getting that call? No, I'm just kind of searching, but I'm really just want to get my feet wet a little bit until the rates come down. I'm sure they've heard that conversation every week, maybe every day.
Yeah, no doubt. And guys, we will put all these links in the YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put a link to all three of the TCAs that Daniel shared. I want to play a little 40-second clip before we run out of time. This is actually Shay Jenkins out of Denver, Colorado. Last year was her second year in the business. She did 53 million in production. And this is just a clip on a realtor's reaction to a TCA, because I really think it hits home the lesson that Daniel's delivering right now. So let's check this out, and then we'll do some closing thoughts.
I was going after this huge, one of the top agents in Denver. And I had been trying since I was an assistant, I had been trying to get this person. And finally, the poor girl gave me a break and was like, Lord, like, here you go, take this one lead. And I took the lead and I did a mortgage coach. And I was just like, you know what, why not? I'm going to CC the agent on here. And then that's when the agent picked up the call and she's like, are you serious? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, what, mortgage coach? And I was like, you're the top agent. You've never seen this before? And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, this is amazing. She's like, would you be able to do this with all my buyers? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, that's so cool. And again, in her head, I think she was thinking, I'm up all night creating this massive presentation with all these numbers and graphs. And I got her business, and she's one of my top agents now.
So Danielle, I assume that's one of the tactics and strategies, or you and Alex, that you train your loan officers to do, loop in the agent, walk them through solutions and strategies. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. Listen, demonstrative sales is one of the highest performing sales tactics, right? And so when you can demonstrate your client consultation to the realtor, automatically in the realtor's mind, they're thinking, wow, I need all my clients to go through this. And so that's the highest. I mean, you're going to, again, this is why we're so, why we do so well, and we have such an incredible result, is that we think about every little detail, right? Like, these are small little details that a lot of loan officers are not thinking about, right? And we think of every little detail, and like, we just unpacked maybe like 10% of the details that we focus on, right? Because we just talked about one segment, one skill set, right? That is really important for people to be able to succeed. And there are, at least 8+ skill sets, right, that have little details like that ultimately will lead to success. But no, if you can demonstrate a mortgage coach presentation, and here's another thing that we do that goes along dramatically with our agents, is because we're doing these presentations live via Zoom or in person. If it's a new agent that we're working with, we actually invite the agent to the Zoom meeting or the in-person meeting, and they can join in via Zoom, right? It's easy for them. And then when they see how we educate their clients, it's almost like for the realtor, they would have to be doing a disservice to their business and their clients to refer anybody else at that point, because they've seen how good we are in ultimately educating the customer. But yes, demonstrative sales is everything.
Hey guys, I know we got a lot more questions. Put these in. We're going to post this in our Facebook group. This will be on YouTube. I'll make sure we get the questions. I have a feeling within the next couple months, we get Daniel again. We're going to schedule a training with Alex, and we're going to make a playbook out of this. Hey, real quick, because I know your loan officers do an incredible job also of calling all the data signals that they're getting from Trust Engine. Could you just speak to real quick on what is your leadership message to your brand, to your loan officers on calling on their Trust Engine data signals?
Well, the Trust Engine data signals are great because, again, it's providing specific insights on what's happening with their database, right? So what we've done is we've curated scripting to support the alerts that are being received, right? So exactly how to call the client if they have a listing alert, or if they have a credit improvement alert, or if there is a inquiry alert, right? And we've also customized really strong campaigns internally that are ultimately that launch as a direct result of each of these data points, right? And it includes, email, text, and so forth, but also the call from the loan officer with a very specific script on each of those alerts. And that's, again, we're picking up at least, if the higher, the bigger the database. I mean, we're looking at an average of an additional 10 leads a month, per loan officer. And if leads convert, from, let's say, a 20% or even a 10%, on these alerts, that's picking up an extra closing or two.
Yeah. So guys, hopefully you got tons of value from this. Daniel, you were awesome. Alex, you were awesome. We'll be in touch for another one. This will be part of the trustengine.com/10x playbook. So make sure you're using that as a resource. We'll have a link to the LinkedIn article just so you guys can win. We want to help every loan officer that follows us, one, be more successful, and do more than do loans. Go beyond the transaction, help people build wealth with real estate, help people achieve financial freedom. If we do all these great things, we can win as well. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you, man. Boom.
See everybody.
Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, everyone.